Hello and welcome to this weekend review for the International Racing League. Today I'll be reviewing the finale to the Formula 1 season around Spa, and we'll be reviewing the first round of the summer season Gr4 around Suzuka. So we'll start off by looking at the calendar for the Gr4 season. We started with the 40 minutes of Suzuka on Saturday. Then we have Dragons Trail, Monza, Maggiore, the Nürburgring, Interlagos and Nordschleife. You can see there the dates on the right. So we'll take a look at the starts for the first round of the season at Suzuka. If you remember back to the Gr3 season, there was quite the chaos at the start where concertina effect going to turn 1 caused quite a big incident. No repeats of that today, fortunately. Cameron West-Edwards actually led into turn 1, having qualified on the front row after a very poor start from pole sitter Jeremy Pope, dropped him down to 4th. It was Cameron West-Edwards who led the way from Philip Blum, Jeremy Pope, up there early on with Nico Ravi and Noah Van Tug until he was pushed off into the grass. But Cameron West-Edwards retired pretty early on after a dismal race, and it was Jeremy Pope who won the race, and won the race quite convincingly, over 30 seconds out of Tom Bennett in just his second ever race, finishing in second. Rob Small taking third position, quite a way ahead of Louis Quinlan in fourth. Fifth place going to Chris Ryan, 6th to Kamikaze Fox, 7th to Philip Blum, who kind of dropped down the field, and 8th Doc Holliday. And due to the new points system that's been implemented for the Gr4 season, as it will be also used for the Gr3 season, the top 8 score points in the old Formula 1 style format from 10, 8, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And if anyone finishing outside the top 8 doesn't score any points. So as you can see, there's the finishing order with Jeremy Pope winning from Tom Bennett, Rob Small, Louis Quinlan, Chris Ryan, Kamikaze Fox, Philip Blum, Doc Holliday, Nico Ravi, Noah Van Tug, X Jules and Cameron Weston-Edwards, the only non-finisher of the race. But as you can see, Jeremy Pope winning by just over 30 seconds from Tom Bennett, so a very dominant performance, and he leads the Drivers' Championship early on from Tom Bennett. In the Constructors, Audi are already 8 points ahead of Alfa Romeo, Comfox in third. Fourth for Monster Energy Nissan Racing, not connected to the Monster Energy BMW Racing in the Gr3. And those are separate teams. Dragon Racing in fifth, Viper and Chrysos yet to get off the mark. You can see in the bottom left, United States, as expected, have already bolted away in the Nations Cup. So now we'll move on to the Formula 1, and the raining quali caused chaos, rain falling after about a minute in the qualifying session when everyone was trying to do a lap on dry. So it really meant that the person who went out first had the best track, and that was Luke Smith. And Luke Smith took a crucial pole from Matthew Alder, who qualified only second. Brandon Glover qualified third despite crashing after his lap. But really the qualifying was all carnage in the opening 4 minutes, and then almost everyone just sat in the pits. So as you can see, Luke Smith gets away from pole. Second place for Matthew Alder, Brandon Glover third, Lewis Marshall fourth. Those two had very little luck all year. Fifth for off the line was Gabriel Ryan, but there's, as you can see now, going into Rouge in the wet, it's not very easy, and there's obviously going to be an incident. But Luke Smith leading away. Matthew Alden knew he had to get past him. Winning was obviously his best chance of winning the championship, as he found himself 9.5 points down. You can see there Brandon Glover losing control and collecting Lewis Marshall. Marshall receiving front wing damage, went wide, and Felix Negua crucially gained 3 positions off the line to get up to third place. And with Matthew Alder in second at the time, it meant that Negua would win the championship. If Alder finished second, Negua just had to finish fifth or better. But if Alder won, Negua had to finish second. And Alder looked like he could take the victory until this crucial mistake when the track was clearly dry. He stayed up for an extra lap on Inters when almost the rest of the field pitted. This cost him about 10 seconds, and that side-on contact with the wall, he was lucky to get away without damage. But it cost him a lot of time and meant that victory was going to be very difficult. And despite this, he only dropped behind Luke Smith and Felix Negua, but that was crucial because he could not afford to drop behind Negua. He needed to beat Negua by as much as possible. You can see he actually was leading when Luke Smith came into the pits, but you'll be able to see how much time he lost to the Australian, who in his final ever IRL race, due to the time issues, looked like he was well on track for at least a podium and a possible victory. Negua in second place, and this was just going to be a run to the flag now, with the tyres lasting long enough. It didn't take Alder long to get round Negua, although Negua didn't make it easy for his championship rival. Alder swooping around the outside at the end of the Kempel straight. The inside for the next corner, and he got into second place, and this meant a really long, intense trying to close in on Luke Smith. Luke Smith had a 3-second time penalty, so Alder just had to get within 3 seconds, but he could only manage 4.7 seconds. So Luke Smith took the victory, and as a result of that, Felix Negwa won the Drivers' Championship despite Alder's best effort, having joined at round 5 compared to Negwa joining at the start of the season. It meant that Negwa, despite late pressure from Saba Siktu, who really, if anything, just acted as a rear gunner for his fellow driver Negwa, they're taking third and the championship, as you can see on the podium. Luke Smith lifting the trophy for the third time this year. It's his third victory, China, Italy, and now Belgium, his 3 victories. So we'll go on to the final drivers' standings in a second. You'll see that Felix Negwa won the championship by 6.5 points from Matthew Alder in second. There you can see it, 185 to 179. Cameron Edwards finishing third ahead of Glover Smith, up to 5th in the end with McGinn, Prodnov, Marshall, Sorhaug and Goncalves rounding out the top 10. The relegation battle ended pretty close, but Amadoro just about stayed in 20th position, meaning Evans, Davies and everyone below 21st will be competing in the B-League next season. And you can see in the Constructors, Sauber extended their lead to win the Constructors' Championship by 21.5 points. What's really impressive is that Felix Negwa has not just won the championship, but he's led the championship in absolutely every race this season. An almost unbreakable record from Felix Negwa. So just look on the left, and now the next GT Sport race, as you know, is around Dragon's Trail, the fictional track in Croatia, and the new F1 season will start in late October with pre-season testing in mid-October. Catch us then.